Do you like Sins videos? Do you want 3 extra ones all in 1 week? Then go to patreon.com/CinemaSins and sign up, because this year during Sin Week, every single tier gets access to 3 bonus Sins videos the week of April 4th, 2022. There are, of course, lots of perks for the higher tiers, like Sin commentaries, monthly bonus podcasts, access to Sin Week panel live streams, and more. Only $3 for access to the 3 bonus Sins videos and more. Go for it! Sign up, get snacks, hype yourself up. Sin Week 2022, beginning April 4th. "52 seconds of logos! If this gate is closed, how did Egon get to the mine without already crashing through or opening it? Either way, this currently closed gate is all kinds of nonsense. I'm in a high-speed chase that requires all my focus and attention right now, but let me make sure that the classic Ghostbusters trap is still under the blanket that I covered it with." Yep, it sure is. I hope Ghostbusters fans are happy. Egon not only survives this wreck, he's able to run away from it virtually unharmed. Also, the evil spirit that just ran down a speeding truck is somehow slow to attack when Egon is on foot. Just going to go ahead and say that this character did not have to be Egon. This could have been Ray, or a new character entirely. How come no one in the room where the f***ing Ghostbusters Afterlife pitch happened said, maybe having Egon be a part of the story will become problematic by the end, is f***ing astonishing. Okay, now let me fish out my PKE meter, which, if you remember, detects ghosts when you don't know exactly where they are. But even though I know the ghost is directly outside, I figured I'd pull it out anyway. I hope Ghostbusters fans are happy. How does he even have time to hide this trap? The ghost was literally right behind him. Why is this ghost so f***ing shitty at his job? I guess this is one of the devil dogs from the first movie making a return here, but I'm trying to figure out how it got out in the first place. Later in the movie, we're going to see that Egon set up a security system around the temple to prevent Gozer and their minions from rising up. So, when did this devil dog find a way to get out of that? How did Egon know they would return? By the end of this, you'll get an explanation for what Egon was trying to do, but no idea how it got to this point in the first place. Now I will die, very much the same way Sigourney Weaver got possessed in the first movie. This even looks like the same chair. What happens in this movie and the original movie aren't congruent at all, but here's a lot of the same shit. Anyway, I hope Ghostbusters fans are happy. This poor family. The mom has to give her own son haircuts. Daughter is stealing power from the neighbors, and the landlord is about to evict him. What are they going to do to get out of this pickle? Oh, her dad left her his old house in Oklahoma, and even though they don't get any money out of it, their living situation is no longer an issue. Whew, I was worried all those struggles were going to be a problem. Cool.
And you didn't think to ask me?
I mean, you just demonstrate zero aptitude for science.
Got it.
One department this movie did a pretty good job in was casting. Carrie Coon and McKenna Grace are so f***ing good, they trick you into thinking you're watching a quality film at times.
Phoebes, be a dear and break into your grandfather's house.
So wait, she was officially named in the will to receive this house and didn't even get a key for it? Symmetrical book stacking, just like the Philadelphia mass turbulence of 1947.
Of course, this place is built on a fault line.
Then how are all those books still stacked up so neatly?
It's okay. At least we're only here for a week. Give or take.
She didn't tell them until now that they're getting evicted from the apartment? Why?
I'm Janine Melnitz. We spoke on the phone.
I'd just like to know how this meeting was arranged. Come out to the house, Callie. There won't be a key waiting for you, but we can get all the business affairs straightened out in the middle of nowhere. Also, you won't know that I'm coming until after you've broken into the house. I know that doesn't make sense, but that's exactly what I just saw on screen.
I can't believe a place like this still exists.
I know this is a more old-timey, classic version of the drive-in restaurant, but the fact that Sonic exists negates the validity of this observation.
My name's Trevor.
Trevor, you f***ing rascal.
No one knew your father.
Well, I'm sure he'll be missed.
Nope.
This f***ing lady. Ghost Egon is a dick. You couldn't knock something off that didn't require cleanup afterwards? Ghost teasers. Instead of asking herself, why did this pawn move in the middle of the night, Phoebe makes the worst decision she can possibly make and plays chess.
It's great. It's called Cujo. Imagine Beethoven if he contracted rabies and just started mauling children.
I was about to send this teacher for showing the class Cujo, but then I remembered my school showed us the original Pet Sematary in 6th grade. Anyway, I should send this Beethoven reference, not just because it's a cheeky in-joke about a movie Ivan Reitman produced, but it is also not a dog character that these kids will be familiar with. They're probably thinking of the composer. Way older than any of these references, but can you imagine a movie where Ludwig von Beethoven gets rabies and eats people? My God, hook that up to my veins. Paul Rudd sticks this tape in and it immediately starts playing right into the action. Which means whoever watched this movie in the teacher's lounge either started watching it for a few minutes and turned it off, or they rewound it only part of the way and put it back in its box. And you'll get a f***ing fine from Blockbuster for that shit. Even though they're basically out of business, they never forget.
Pretty sure it was just a heart attack.
Wait, was the family told that Egon died of a heart attack? Did the police forget about seeing an overturned car in a cornfield with a long crash trail behind it?
I'm Phoebe. Oh, cool. And podcast. Why do people call you podcast?
You just sat there and listened to him ask a bunch of unsolicited true crime questions, holding a microphone and everything, and you still have to ask why he's named Podcast? Oh, hey, it's real-life married couple Carrie Coon and Tracy Letts getting a scene together in a Ghostbusters movie. I'm just enough of a softie to give this a f***ing sin-off. Other couples that have done this can go f*** their own face.
Hey, Mopskills. How's inventory?
The real question is, how does Stranger Things already have a job at Spinners? This is the morning after he was filling out his job application, and Trevor can't get a signal on his phone. So how would Trevor have even been called in for an interview? Which would have definitely happened before he was aproned up and counting frozen patties in the freezer. Okay, so Cannibal Girls is yet another Ivan Reitman reference, but bingo? Is there going to be a bunch of dog movie references in this because there's a demon dog like the first Ghostbusters? What alternative theater plays these two movies? Why f***ing bingo?
You don't believe in spirits?
No. I think we're all just kind of meat puppets.
First of all, that's f***ing depressing. And secondly, Phoebe doesn't believe in ghosts, but she believes that chess pieces can move by themselves in the middle of the night. This movie doesn't seem to know what to do with Finn Wolfhard. The last time we saw him, he was working at the diner sorting out hamburger patties, and the girl he likes told him she has a boyfriend. Now he's uncovering the old Ghostbusters car in the tool shed. There seems to be no logical stepping stones for this character.
What a box.
It's a box that Trevor will have no problem getting to run again without buying any new parts. I find it easier to believe in the ghosts.
The dirt farmer's house?
Oh, you know something that's weird? Remember at the beginning of this movie when Egon crashed into that giant cornfield and ran to get inside the house? Where did that cornfield go? The ghost hit him while he was driving down the road, and this is the only road that goes by the house. Why is the PKE meter just lighting up now? There's been paranormal activity in the room ever since the chess piece started moving, and probably before that. Phoebe doesn't scream and wake up their mother, which would lead to Callie snatching up the kids, driving to the nearest motel for the night, and kicking the television set out of the room just to be safe. Also, Ghost Egon is doing a lot of stuff here to show Phoebe where the ghost trap is hidden when he could simply write a note. In fact, it would be better for him to do that, so that he could tell her not to take the trap out and let the movie happen. Look, I know Paul Rudd isn't a good teacher or anything, but how has his summer horror movie marathon not gotten around to the parents yet? You can't tell me every kid in this class is keeping it a secret or that all the parents don't care. During this wet, hot American summer, Ant-Man reads an Avengers comic book while his students remain clueless. I love you, man, and you're frequently the object of my affection, but you've been our idiot brother from year one.
I mean, there hasn't been a ghost sighting in 30 years.
You hear that, 2016 Ghostbusters? 2021 Ghostbusters just threw you some major shade. Convenient, what I'm going to assume is a ghost fart, which happens right at this moment so Paul Rudd can get in on the shenanigans, is convenient.
None of this rings a bell?
Dude, it's not like the Adventures of the Ghostbusters in your world was turned into a hit movie, several cartoons, and video games. Although, to be fair, it's kind of surprising that they weren't. Now that they let the demon dog out of its trap, again I'm wondering why Ghost Egon even showed Phoebe where the trap was in the first place. What was she supposed to do with it? Advance the plot? Reading.
Rivers are like the moms of canyons.
The idea that anyone would hang out with a kid who says shit like this. I'm glad to see that Trevor's been accepted by the drive-in diner crew. It's just that this movie hasn't shown me enough of Trevor to really give a shit. Seriously? First, Phoebe doesn't scream when she's thrown into a chair by her dead grandfather, and then none of these kids react to a demon spirit flying right past them? In real life, the percentage of pants being shit in would be 100. This movie is 67% unnecessary callbacks. Why is there a fireman's pole here instead of, oh, I don't know, stairs? Also, she slides down this pole, and I don't see a way to get back up. Do you have to shimmy back up to the top using the pole? Or is there a door down in this basement that you just could have used to enter it in the first place? Janine made a comment earlier about Egon having trouble keeping the power bill paid, and now I'm wondering how the did he keep the power bill paid? There are more lights and electrical necessities on this farm than a small Las Vegas casino, and he had no money. A location that has terrible cell phone service somehow has excellent Wi-Fi.
How'd you know how to fix it?
Good question, but the more important question is how can Phoebe support the pack on her back? The proton packs are supposed to weigh around 100 pounds. Phoebe and Podcast survived this. In fact, this is so ridiculous, I'm giving a sin for each of them surviving. Discount Slimer. Now we're back to Trevor working on the car. I honestly don't know what makes this guy a car expert. I mean, he was watching a movie with a car in it the first time we saw him, but nothing about him screams grease monkey. Nothing about his current situation suggests he needs a car, especially in this small town where you can apparently push a bike everywhere you go but not ride it. I guess it's lucky he cares, since the movie needs this car later. Yeah, first time I get in a car, the first thing I think to do is drive through a field of tall grass. Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads. Also, even if I would buy that Trevor could fix this car with a little elbow grease and the desire to succeed, I'm not buying that these tires aren't all rotted out. There would be more tread flying all over the place than grass at this point.
In the 1980s, New York City was attacked.
Yeah, no, I know the Manhattan ghost stories.
Well, if that's the case, how come Trevor didn't recognize the Ghostbusters logo on the car or just realize he was fixing up the Ecto-1?
All units were getting reports of, well,
some kind of animal taking a bite out of Steve Fletcher's truck.
Who the would think Muncher was some kind of animal? You can see right through him. If Muncher is this hungry all the time, why would it just take a bite out of the garbage cans? Why wouldn't it eat all of them? This Muncher ghost takes the Prometheus school of running away from things to a new level by taking the extra credit flight school. Phoebe somehow manages to not kill anyone during this entire sequence. Even though he's never seen or been in this car before, Podcast knows to do this. So, are there any cops in this town? You'd think they'd have been alerted since there's a ghost going around eating metal in broad daylight in front of everyone and kids driving a Cadillac through the downtown corridor. Oh, you. In 1984, it took 3 Ghostbusters to get Slimer into the trap, and they were shooting their proton packs the whole time. Now, apparently one person can use the pack, turn it off in the middle of the arrest, and it still works? The cops, clearly on a 12-hour smoke break earlier, finally work a traffic stop into their busy schedule.
We're screwed. We're so screwed.
What did Trevor think was going to happen after they shot up a lot of the downtown area and almost killed a bunch of people?
Hey, don't we get a phone call?
Sure you do. Who you gonna call?
I think getting Bokeem Woodbine in the movie just to say this throwback line is a waste of Bokeem Woodbine.
Raise a cult and we're closed.
I know times are slow, but can you not afford an answering machine to pick up after you've closed? The only reason you answered this call is because you were annoyed that the phone was ringing.
I'm calling about Egon Spangler.
And now I will wait for an interminable amount of time so that you can react to that instead of me just getting to the point.
What happened to you guys?
Oh, well, look, when we started, busting ghosts was a gas.
Ray knows that Phoebe is in prison and yet still thinks she and the movie have time for this.
And things got slow, hauntings got thin.
Yeah, isn't that weird that hauntings got thin? It's like the entire ghost world is dictated by this Gozer crap, or that Vigo guy in the second movie. You'd think there'd be plenty of ghosts from various sources looking to haunt everywhere in the world. Of course, then we'd be subjected to Ghostbusters International, and I'm still trying to Eternal Sunshine that MIB movie out of my head.
Winston went into finance, he worked hard, coined a fortune, and I'm here.
And conveniently still have the old phone number, so the rest of the events in this movie can take place.
He got spooky, freaked me out. One morning I go to work, an Ecto-1, our old Cadillac is gone, his neutrino thrower, collider pack, all the traps.
I find it pretty hard to believe that Egon was unable to convince his buddy Ray that there was some shit going down in Oklahoma and left without a trace. Convincing Peter? That would be a believable story.
We caught a ghost tonight.
Dirt farmer's family.
Seriously, did no one see that f***ing ghost that was flying around town and eating metal?
All right, you guys. Remember that. Yeah, you got it.
Gary makes light of Callie's kids getting arrested and probably almost killed, and yet he'll still probably get a second date.
He's not nuts.
Well, then he's an asshole. Welcome to the family.
I know Callie has a lot of shit to work out, but why would she say something like this to her daughter, who's clearly troubled by all this? This movie wants you to think that Callie is a really cool mom, and maybe she is at times, but she sure as f*** isn't here. Why do they have teeth? How do they have teeth? Other than sheer nostalgia and toy sales, why would anything cause the marshmallows at a Walmart to become an army of Stay Puft Marshmallow Men? The spirit that flew into the Walmart is one of the demonic hellhounds. Why would it want to create miniature versions of the thing that only existed because Ray accidentally thought about him in the first movie? Vehicular Marshicide! You know what the scene reminds me of? It's like Gremlins and the multiple Jack Sparrow scene in At World's End. It's exactly as cynical as it looks, filled with member berries and product placement. See this s'more? You want some more? We'll feed it to you in this sugary melange of creative bankruptcy. Hellhound just happening to run into Gary so that he and Callie can get it on later is the coincidence of the f***ing century. Jesus Christ, this store somehow has fewer people inside it than the one in Career Opportunities. And there isn't one Jennifer Connelly to save it. Does Podcast have parents? And assuming he does, why would he still be allowed to hang out with the 2 kids that almost got him killed f***ing yesterday?
What exactly is happening here?
I can only think of one way for us to find out.
Yes, we will walk to the mine that is the likely source of the ghost activity and go there without one single weapon to take them on. Are you sure you don't want to contact Ghost Granddad and maybe get some pointers on creating a proton pack ghost trap thing? First off, the Gozer's predicting 2021 is some bullshit, because the only reason this happened is because Egon showed his granddaughter where the trap was when he didn't have to. Secondly, you're basically predicting years where everything is going to fail, correct? Well, I say in 1984 we will rise again, only to put 2021 there, knowing something must get f***ed up in 1984 for 2021 to be a reality. Third off, this movie thinks that the next rise of Gozer will be in 2134, making all future Ghostbusters vulnerable to some vicious sinning when they inevitably bring them back up in the next 5 years in another plot.
The earthquakes.
My question is, if the proton pack security system set up in this mine is causing the earthquakes, why did Gary have such a hard time triangulating where they came from? I know Gary's been portrayed as an absolute doofus in this movie, but he seemed to know his shit when it came to seismology. And this couldn't have been hard to find, right? Discount JK some holy shit.
He built this. He was standing guard even when no one believed him.
But wouldn't this be a pretty easy thing to show someone? Why didn't Egon ever bring the sheriff or anyone out here to see all the ghost going on? It's amazing how readily people just accept the fact that ghosts exist and are not the least bit scared by it in this movie. Oh look, he kept pictures of me. I forgive him. All is well now. Also, Phoebe's been down here and has seen all this. Even if she wanted to keep the ghost stuff from her mom, why would she keep all this from her?
There is no mom, there is only Zool.
Oh, I see Zool's decided to go with glowing eyes this time. Zool didn't do that with Dana Barrett. That's a little inconsistent, don't you think?
He's a keymaster.
First off, gross. Second off, this is the same issue as the first movie. Why doesn't the gatekeeper know who the keymaster is? Why aren't they drawn to each other? If demonic Ant-Man knows this place, why doesn't Callie know about it? Why is she sitting at home right now instead of doing her best Zool Gorney Weaver? I like Tracy Letts a lot, but I have no idea why the movie cares what he's experiencing right now. And now that I think about it, he should have been the keymaster.
What the hell is going on?
It's a great question, Lucky. See, for all this to work, Phoebe, Podcast, and Gary would have to set the ghost free from a trap that would have never even been found if it wasn't for Egon showing Phoebe where it was, which makes no sense considering he got himself killed hiding it. And even though Egon still had the rigged photon trap set up at the mine, at least 2 of the Hellhound spirits would have to somehow magically get around this scenario so they could then possess 2 people who would go to the mine, destroy the trap, let out all the ghosts, and mate. I'm still not sure how the mating brings Gozer back, but that's at least 98th on my list of over 100 how the f*** is any of this able to happen list. Oh, f*** you, movie. If Egon had the wherewithal to write dirt to lead someone down this path, why wouldn't he just write exactly where he had everything set up and how to activate it?
This isn't a farm.
It's a space station?
It's a trap.
Oh, well, I was thinking of a different Star Wars line. All of these suits that were for grown men fit children. Callie transforms her plain clothes into a magically appearing dress, while Gary still has on the same thing he was wearing when he was possessed. Is there such a thing as a mating dress? Probably. I'm still sitting it. Oh, cool, the police station is totally abandoned, so the kids can do whatever they want to carry out the plan. Oh, I see. Muncher was just a plot device all along. Oh, cute. They have a Stay Puft Marshmallow ad on a liquor store. It'd be quite the Easter egg if they hadn't done that Walmart scene 15 minutes ago.
That's my mom.
And it's lucky as they got here in time to see her before she transformed into a dog. Otherwise, with the plan that they're implementing, they'd have a 50-50 chance of getting Paul Rudd back instead. And now that I think of it, if they had to guess, that would have been a better movie. Also, didn't you already know that she'd be here? The surprise for you would be Gary, the teacher who shows you horror movies in class.
We can rule the world.
And that's why you hire J.K. Simmons, to die as soon as he says 5 words. Are the supernatural characters in these movies ghosts or demons? They're mostly demons, right? Of course, most of these demons are way too jovial to cause much harm rather than being a nuisance. And that's a cool eyeball thing that this one's got going on here, but I have no idea why a spirit would need this. It's more like an alien than it is a classic ghost. How exactly did they get the Ecto-1 inside the mine? And even if there was a way, why would they drive the Ecto-1 inside the mine? That place is clearly not built on the most stable of ground.
What do you call a fish with no eyes?
Phoebe's stand-up routine is actually going to cause enough of a diversion to work. This bullshit reminds me of that scene in Rookie of the Year when Thomas Ian Nicholas loses his power and he fakes out grown men to do stupid shit so that the Cubs can win.
Have you come to offer yourself in sacrifice?
All those weeks of training to get that Shorog or Dashu impression perfected really paid off. Way to go, Olivia. I thought the rule was no gatekeeper, no Gozer, but now they're trying to tell me that there's a Gozer, just one that's not as powerful. You can't be changing up the Gozer rules on me, man. What? These marshmallow men were inside the proton pack, sabotaging it this whole time, and they didn't make a peep? That's a solid pun right there. Let me start over. What? These marshmallow men were inside the proton pack, sabotaging it this whole time, and they didn't make a peep? These assholes don't have the ability to stay quiet. How the are they in here right now? Lucky now becomes the gatekeeper, and I have no idea how any of this works. Can any asshole be the gatekeeper if the original gatekeeper and keymaster already goes into existence? Well, that's the thing about lightning. It's super slow.
Hey, Flat Top! Have you missed us?
Here's the thing. Any excuse to get these 3 together again is a happy occasion. I'm all for it. But doing it in this way and making it look like you pulled them out of 80s movie character storage doesn't gel with me.
Are you a god?
37 years building up to this moment, and Ray hesitates instead of confidently saying yes, or doing the PG-13 one rule with a yes.
She's uncrossing the stream!
Yeah, how about that? That would actually be worth an explanation, but there's only 7 minutes left, so I guess it is what it is. At this point, why is Gozer hesitating to kill them all? Also, why doesn't Gozer need the Destructor this time? Well, the whole point of this deity was to bring on the end of the world by mutating into whatever passing thought enters someone's head. Movie steals its finale from Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2.
Come on, Phoebe!
Yes, Phoebe, just believe your proton pack is better than the demon spirit's Palpatine power. No! I'm confused. Does the ghost of Egon make this proton pack more powerful? It's nice that he's there and everything, but we just saw Gozer take on 3 proton packs and uncross the streams, all by their lonesome. Winston is nice enough to give almost every audience member's disgusted facial expression in theaters across the country, but it doesn't change the fact that you f***ing did this, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Yeah! And everything still works, even though it's got marshmallow shit in all of the crevices. This works. There's actually a lot about this movie that reminds me of Onward. This last second getting to know you before I disappear thing may be the onwardest thing about this movie. Movie credits Sigourney Weaver before the surprise scene with Sigourney Weaver. Okay, so I get it. Peter is getting a taste of his own medicine by hooking himself up to the shock machine. But why was this even set up? This is not their thing at all. Why couldn't it be the student he shocked in the first movie, or the girl he tricked into sleeping with him? I know you want Sigourney Weaver back for a fun scene, but this makes about as much sense as her returning as Ripley than Dana Barrett. What the f*** does this blinking red light even mean? In the first movie, a solid red light meant setting the entry grid. So does a blinking one mean there's a ghost trapped in there that hasn't made it all the way into the containment unit? Did they minority report this poor ghost?
I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
Ah, no, the corn! Paul Newman's gonna have my legs broke.
If you build it, he will come.
Hi. Hi. What's hi? Can I spend it?
Anyone seen Stand and Deliver? Show of hands.
You kidding me?
Edward James Olmos? Lou Diamond Phillips?
I just thought you were being obtuse.
What? What did you call me?
You do that again, I'll shoot you myself.
What are those holes in the wall?
I see mom hole? That's my mom.
Are you a god?
You're goddamn right.
Phoebe. Toast.
Okay, maybe a little more. Tell me a joke or something.
Okay. 3 tomatoes are walking down the street. Papa tomato, mama tomato, and baby tomato. Baby tomato starts lagging behind, and Papa tomato gets really angry. Goes back and squishes him. Says, ketchup.